We're down to three-handed in this is the $10,000 buy-in scoop main event high, which our hero Charlie Carrel took down. Charlie, so we've now eliminated the fourth place player. We're down to three. It's you, Harrison, and the kick, who you mentioned you don't have like a super read on, but you've been developing it throughout the gameplay. What was kind of your feeling when you arrived in this three-handed situation? You got almost $700,000 locked up. You're one spot away from pretty much $1 million payday. Where's your head at this point?
Yeah, so I guess I could answer that two ways. It could be like emotionally, my head was at just like, because it was just like three-handed chip leader when the whole time I just expected to come like 22nd and then ninth and then 8th. And it not only in my three-handed chip leader, but also the two people that I was playing, Gibbler and the Kick, they would have been probably like two of the people, all due respect, they're really, really good poker players, but I would have chosen to be against them and not like European and maybe Odd Oddson. Maybe he's a PLO player, but it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. So yeah, from that level, I was kind of ecstatic, but I was also making sure that I stayed in emotionless mode for the hands. So it would be really fun. Like after every single hand, basically, I would just like go to Ben, do the high 10, and then just like as soon as I was in a hand, he would just go silent, and I'll go silent, and we go back to our thing. So yeah, we're in good but polarized moods.
Okay, cool. And do you feel like you have the best seat you could have, given it being three-handed? Would you rather be flipped with Gibbler, or are you like, this is the spot I want to be, this is the money seat?
I think it's better to be flips, just because the kick's way more aggressive than Gibbler, and he's got a deeper stack. But it's a small thing.
Yeah, micros, all about the micros.
Micros.
Okay, so let's hit play and get into these hands.
I've been watching the micros recently again.
They all forget the show from Deuces Cracked?
Yeah. I forget it exists for like a good year, and then I watch it again, and I've forgotten all of the scenes. I'm just like, oh my god, it's perfect. It's so good. If anyone out there hasn't watched the micros, literally gobble, gobble, gibble. And I assume that's because Gibbler just knocked someone out.
Yeah.
I would probably know that because we did the last episode so recently. Just now, actually.
Oh, yeah. That one scene in the mic, I remember the scene in the micros where he's like, I'm following proper bankroll management and nothing's happening. He's gone from like 200 over 3 months, like $201.49.
About 350. It's just like the birthplace of all of the poker memes. So yeah, here when Gibbler limps, I would definitely be raising it up with like a bunch of different hands, like a bunch of kind of oh my god, I'm even doing it with threes. Okay, cool. So I obviously think he's limping way weaker than he should be, and honestly, like 9-4 suited is probably a bit too weak, especially against me in this ICM situation. It's just like a lot of people make that mistake that because they can do a just about plus chip EV limp, then they should, and you see it a lot. And in these spots, I will be attacking those limps really, really hard. And even with a hand like threes, where it's like not super good, because if you get check raise, it kind of sucks. This hand's great. I'm going to stop talking. No spoilers.
Okay. Action. Everyone's like, oh my god, there's totally a 4 coming on the turn. And you're like, we'll see about that.
We'll see. And the kick, in true amazing, I don't know what you're repping style, goes for the third pot bet.
It's a lead too. It's a third pot donk bet.
Third pot lead. His sizing is just like mildly confusing, because when you're leading here, you're kind of polarized where you want to be repping like a set or 5-3 or something. You're not going to be leading a one pair hand and then some bluffs. And just knowing the kick, it's just going to be all bluffs. And like if you're repping a set or 5-3, you don't want to be leading a third. So with all due respect to the kick, no. And then he's like, you know what? I do have a set. I forgot. I rechecked my cards. And that's a 3 and a 3. Whew. That's a lucky one. That's me thinking I had 99% bluffs here. And Gibbler's having none of it. And the kick, Rivers what should be not a great card, to be honest. Like, he still shouldn't win the hand here against most of Gibbler's range. Like, he just shouldn't. Like, he definitely has to check here and just hope Gibbler checks back a 5 or something. Or in this case, he snap checks back a 3, which is, in my opinion, not bueno at all. Like, I can see checking maybe, but snap checking, come on, Gibbles, come on. He should probably be bluffing. Like, if he thinks the kick's super wide on his leading, he probably has a lot of 6x when he checks that river, because he's going to be betting his bluffs, he's going to be betting his straights, and the only thing really left to check is a 6. So, and maybe 2 pair.
What kind of bet size do you think Gibbler should have gone with to move him off of like a pair of 5s or a pair of 6s there?
I don't know, probably like something that's not so small that he gets a crying call, but something that's not so big that he's only repping a straight. So I guess like half. Here I tend to see about these bottom pairs a lot more than most people. In tournaments especially, because you can get away with these ridiculously small sizes in tournaments, and then you just get to protect. And it's good to protect your equity, especially when you could do it for cheap. Whereas I think a lot of tournament players, they check back these spots quite a lot too much, even the top players, because they're like, oh, I've got to balance my checking range. And yeah, it's just a neat little trick. If you can get away with a small bet, you can start betting a lot. So when he calls, he's going to have some Queen X, he's going to have some straight draws, he's going to have some 9x, and he's going to have some flush draws. He should definitely be betting his 2 pair. If I were him, I would probably be over betting, and checking is like okay, but if he gets me to bluff here, I'm gonna look like an idiot for saying this.
You can still say it, man. It's okay. Full on.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I do, so that's it's a dangerous game I'm playing. Oh fuck.
I love when present Charlie gets to like look at past Charlie and be like, huh, we've changed.
Yeah. I guess he thinks I'm just going to be like way over bluffing this spot, which I guess there is some chance of that. I like that he went for a check shove. I really like that. A lot of people, they might be a bit too scared because, I might have riveted some weird 2 pair with the ace, but I think that he played that well. I think the standard is to bet, but against some bluff-heavy fish, it might be better to check. So I swallow my words that I had previously said.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie, you got to remember, you are known to be pretty absurd.
Pretty absurd is a concise way to describe that, yeah.
It might be an understatement, honestly.
So I would have been raising here if the kick and I had switched stacks, but against him, I'm probably just going to be limping pretty much not my entire range. I'm very unbalanced in this spot, actually. But just limping a bunch, and he goes with the old 7-5 to attack it. Not a big fan of it, but whatevs. You can do whatever you want when you got some ICM pressure. I think it flops a bit too well to raise. You want to kind of be polarizing it with some 9-deuce suiteds and then your big hands, but it's whatevs. He should definitely be 3-betting this 100%.
So you're in that spot that people should really be checking the middle chunk of their range, raising the best portion, raising the almost the worst portion, and do they check the very worst stuff?
Yeah, generally in that you should be checking like your deuce 3 offs and stuff. As you get shallower, then post flop playability matters less for raising, if that makes sense. So if you're playing 20 bigs, you don't care if you have deuce 3 off or 9-deuce suited. If you have 40 bigs, you want to be able to hit a flush every now and again. Whereas if you have 20 bigs, it's okay to take your 9-deuce suiteds and check them, because then you get to see a flop at least. And yeah, so there's some weird dynamics that go on with some short stacks, and I wouldn't be doing it justice, like the complexity of it, if I started to describe it now. So I think people should probably the best way to look at those spots is just go back and think about it. Once you know what you're looking for, like here are the pros to this, here are the cons of this, then just play with it in your head, because every situation is so different that just having a solid thought process is better than anything.
Yeah.
Surprise
is best developed by doing critical thinking and self-analysis, right?
Yeah, exactly. And being honest with yourself and criticizing when you need to. I'm surprised the kick didn't do anything with the Jack 9 off there. I guess he's much more of like a field player, where he's like, oh, he won't believe me if I do it twice in a row. He can definitely pull some tricks out the sleeve there. Here, I hope I see bet. I think it's just a good spot to go. Yeah, just to fold him off all his king highs, queen highs, jack highs, stuff that have missed and might end up bluffing turns and rivers and stuff. It's just with some ICM pressure here, you get to do some cool stuff. Plus, on a 10 high board, it's much better to see bet than on like the same kind of queen high board, because as seen here, you get some pretty nice turn cards that it's suddenly second pair on the flop isn't looking so juicy. Whereas, if you have like a queen jack high board, your jack's still going to be second pair by the river most of the time. So that's something to keep in mind. Is just like I've actually been like coaching some micro stakes people and just like really getting to grips with these concepts that I used to think a lot about in the micros. Is that just these simple things like, if when you have a low board, you're more likely to get overcards, so you can see bet and barrel more. It's definitely not like a GTO way to be thinking about it, but it's a super profitable way. So you have to make the decision between GTO and profit.
Yeah, I don't think GTO is how you made all your millions of dollars anyway. So it's okay to deviate from that.
I think I GTO'd a few times in my life. I think I delved into the GTO pool a good 6 or 7 hands. Regretted that pretty quickly.
This ain't me.
It's just not me. So yeah, here, like you can see, like if we were a lot shallower, then the 10-3 might be a good hand to raise with. But when we're deep, you don't want to be taking a flop with a big you don't want to have a big pot with a shitty hand when you're this deep. But we somehow flop top pair, which is it's nice, and it's a good spot for him to just check forward. He has no equity. The board hits our range pretty hard anyway. Like when we check, it's all bueno. All bueno indeed. So here I'm just going to be limping. If I raise here, it's a bit of like a disrespectful raise where I'm just like so unbalanced. I think even from an exploitative side, limping here is just good, because I think the kick is still just going to be going ham, especially when he's given up a couple of spots that he could have 3-bet already. Definitely going for limp call. Don't want to be playing a huge pot with a mediocre hand when there's a shorter stack and he has the ICM pressure over us. Here with the ace-5, I can see checking, I can see betting. Against me, I would check. Against someone else, I'd probably bet. But again, with the being able to bet small thing, it's like a lot more of a promising bet than if you're in a cash game, you had to bet like 2/3 pot.
Yeah, kind of like when in doubt, if you think it's close between bet and checking, just bet a third, bet a quarter pot.
It can never be too bad. You're only betting a quarter of the pot. So yeah, we obviously have a very easy check call, second pair, whatevs. If I have to explain that, I should go back watch some other grip stuff first.
we got a couple of videos available.
Got a few. I was actually just recently watching the video that you did about my first ever big tournament win, the 200k Sunday Million one. Such a good review, and it had such positive feedback. I sent it to the people that I'm coaching at the moment, and I still think even now it's super, super helpful.
Okay, that was the one that I reviewed myself, as opposed to the one that we did together when Ben won it?
Yeah. So here I went for pretty standard value. I think a lot of people might miss out these kind of value spots because it's hard to get called by worse. But honestly, at the time, I was just targeting a 6. I thought a 6 was one of the most likely cards to get called by. Obviously, you can have a 5. Obviously, you can hear a call ace high or a 4 or something like that. But I just went for a size that type of hand would be able to call, and think that we have enough bluffs in our range to be able to make us look pretty silly with a call. But no bueno.
And do you also think in that spot that he would have 2-barreled with most of his bluffs, and therefore when he's checked back on the turn, he actually has a lot more hands that are likely to call a bet than to bet themselves?
I would say ratio-wise, yeah. I would still say when he checks back, he has more non-made hands than made hands. Just because of like the combos of it. I think specifically the kick, just from like the feel I have from him, he'd probably continue with anything that had equity, and then probably check back most things that have no equity.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like one of the feelings that I have that I'd find it pretty difficult to put into words. But yeah, it's just sometimes you got to go with your feels, even if you can't articulate why.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things in poker and there are a lot of things in life that can't really be put into words because there's just so much more to it. And most people can relate to a time in life where they just had an experience that was beyond words, where they just had their feels. And the more practice someone has doing something, the more repetition they have at something like poker, the more attuned all their senses are going to be. So those things are going to come into play that you just can't fully explain. You just kind of know. You just kind of sense. And so you go with that.
Me here being probably also kind of a dynamics player, I probably would have attacked this if it was his first limp, but once I've done it twice, I expect him to be, his limping range to be a lot stronger than normal. Obviously with 10-6, and it's not the case. He's just going for it, man. Gibbler's bet on the last hand, if anyone was paying too much attention, I think it was too big. Just for people's sake, I think what he was doing was trying to fold out some ace highs, but it's just like, why, you know? You got enough equity. You can either check or bet small. Here, I imagine I'll play it. A 3-bet will probably be better than a call just because it's a stack size where Gibbler can still open. But then when he gets 3-bet, he's like, oh no, I can't actually call anything because ICM, no. So yeah, just gonna go at him with that.
At what stack size do you think he's only opening hands that he's continuing with? Like sub 30 bigs?
I think the ratio of hands that he's opening to hands that he's continuing with will definitely get a lot smaller once the stacks get around 30 bigs. Yeah, but like he'll, if he's a good balanced reg, which at the time actually, don't tell him I had him labeled as a fish. I thought he was a fish.
Don't worry, I won't tell him. I think he'll just find out himself.
I think he was just playing a bit unconventionally. So
you just got outplayed by a fish. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean he got a lot of people, but the style in which he got them was unconventional. So I think that when I was just watching him on other tables, I was like, well, probably a fish because I don't know who he is. But yeah, he turns out he's a really good player. He's just got his own style. He's not like I wouldn't say he's the most like theoretically sound player, but he's got some moves.
Yeah, and he's been around for a really long time.
Oh, really?
Well, I think he won PCA like.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
7 years ago or something.
Yeah. God, it must be good to be playing back in the days. God damn it. So yeah, now the stacks have kind of flipped between me and the kick. Then I get to put a lot of pressure on. I would be putting a lot more pressure on if the players were actually like loads better, because they would be a lot more aware of ICM implications than these guys. Like these guys know ICM exists. They'll know to like be a bit tighter, but they're not the types of players to just like fold over and bend over and take it. So I think that I would actually be adjusting to be less aggressive than GTO would dictate if one were to know GTO. Yeah, back to what you were saying about, I think it's really interesting about how there are some concepts in poker that just, or like some feelings in poker, nice gibbles, that can't be put into words. And I've come across a lot of people that think like that. Like, for instance, my friend Kelly, she's like super, super intuitive when it comes to poker, but she would never be able to describe why she did something. And that's kind of annoying when you're trying to teach someone or if you're trying to learn off someone, because you're just like, so why'd you do that? And she'd be like, I felt it. Like, I don't know how to correct a feeling. But then you'll get people on the other side, like I would say maybe the way that Vogelsang used to play. How I like the size Gibbles is going here, by the way. I like his line quite a lot. How he would be only able to make a play if it were articulatable. And if someone were to say, you know, I just felt like this was good, he'd be like, oh yes, but what are the reasons? And yeah, Yeah, I think that trying to find a balance between the two is very important, but super, super tricky.